expressed on this program are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of Vegas AllNet Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.
Well, good afternoon, Las Vegas, and good afternoon to the world. It is Tuesday, 3 o'clock time at the brand new Vegas AllNet Radio Studio, Studio 1-8. It's time for the stars of VANR. Here are the hosts of the programs, Mr. Aaron Phillips, the Cash Man, Ricky Cash, and John JPEG Styles. Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon, Bobcats. Thank you very much for that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Stars of VANR. Here on the all-new Vegas AllNet Radio, as Bobcat said, I'm one of the hosts today, Aaron Phillips. Mr. Cash is a little under the weather today, so he will not, unless he calls in from his chateau. We also have JPEG with us. Mr. John Styles is here. And, of course, the benefit of our show, Stars of VANR, is to highlight our show hosts that are on our station, highlight our staff and employees that help make VANR what it is today, and drawing the short straw, according to Lorraine, because she's oh so looking forward to this.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because the other day you were giving me I got to go on this interview. What are you going to expect me to do? And I was a little nervous you weren't going to make it today.
I didn't know if I was interviewing you or you were interviewing me. I have to.
Yeah, you'd be interviewing me if I was on your show.
So when are you coming?
When you inviting? 1 to 2, I'm usually by the pool, but for you guys, I can make an exception.
Well, maybe we'll go to your house.
That's what I'm doing from my house. That's Lorraine and Doug from the show on Saturday called Thanks for the Memories, 1 to 2 p.m. here on Vegas AllNet Radio, a show that takes you back, not only in just conversation, but music, stories, experience, a show that when you listen to, you can really connect with, because no matter where you're from, East Coast, West Coast, or whatever, you will most definitely be able to say, oh, yeah, I remember that. Right, John?
Yeah, it not only takes you back, but it takes you by surprise.
Yes, because you don't know what they're going to talk about, and then all of a sudden something comes up.
Shock.
And it's just whether it's a piece of music or conversation or topic of the day. So if you've missed any of their shows, they've been on the air with us now since beginning of June. Since they started, right? Yeah. Since the middle of June.
I think that was this morning.
Yeah.
That's a while ago. I know that.
Go to the website, vegasallnetradio.com. Click on the tabs that says Programs. Scroll to the bottom to Saturdays, and you'll see a picture of the two of them. Click on that, and you'll see all the archives listed on the bottom. It's a lot of fun to listen to the show for sure. So, guys, welcome to Stars of VANR. Thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
I love their shirts, by the way. I didn't even pay them to wear those shirts today.
That's class, right?
That's class. That is class. They got VANR shirts with their show name on it, and just in case they forget their names are host.
Not only that, but on the back it tells you how much it'll cost you to rent one from us. We're renting them. We're not selling them right now.
You're for rent?
Oh, absolutely. We only have 2 shirts.
Well, guys, listen. It's a lot of fun to chat with you guys, because you guys are from the East Coast originally. And we've shared, especially with Cash, the Brooklyn stories and whatnot. And then you've touched my soul when you started talking about upstate New York and the Catskills and Sullivan County and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Talk about the development of the show. Why'd you get started? And let's talk about your roots. I mean, where did you come from, and how did you let our listeners know a little bit about you?
Okay, you want to start with
I
that?
think I'll start. All right.
He's trying to get a word in.
I'm trying to get a word
Go
in.
ahead, go for it.
Here we go. I lived in Washington Heights in Manhattan. And I grew up in a great neighborhood, but I also grew up with a situation where I wanted to perform and I wanted to sing. So I had a stickball bat in one hand and a microphone in the other hand. And it was a tough decision growing up. And I said, I'm going to perform somewhere in life. Well, as life went on, I did this, I did that, and I moved here and I moved there. And then I landed up in Las Vegas. And all of a sudden, I picked up a review journal. And it said something about UNLV senior adult classes. And there I went. And I got involved with senior theater. And I said, this is a great way to spend retirement. I said, I could perform, I could do this. But my real love was singing harmony, street corner harmony, doo-wop music. So it was like I was balancing the two, but that's where I met this lady.
You know, you have to be really careful in Las Vegas about anything that says adult.
Yeah, that's true. I was wondering what kind of class UNLV was offering.
And then senior adult, that must be some heavy stuff.
I guess so.
Well, it's because he had to learn how to be a real senior here. This is a different genre. This is not UNLV senior.
You weren't
This
that
is
traffic cop
seniors.
that used to stand out there with a whistle and dance while
No, that
directing
was,
traffic?
I don't know who that was, but speaking, you want to go memory lane, I remember Officer Joe Bolton. Remember Officer Joe Bolton? Back he had a show, didn't he?
Here?
No, back east.
Back east?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't ring a bell to me. but-
Officer Krepke, I remember.
Officer Krupke.
Yeah, him
My
I know,
grandfather
but
was an officer,
Bolton, I
but-
don't know. Sorry.
But that was it. I got involved with classes, and I met this lady, and we had an instructor. His name was Professor Doug Hill, and he saw what Lorraine had, he saw what I had, and he said, these two belong together. And he put us together on a show, and we did some emceeing. You had to see that. That was absolutely... We had the crowd in stitches.
What kind of show was it that you were emceeing?
Senior adult show.
Outreach. It was
Yeah.
actually it was outreach.
Outreach, okay.
It was, we did Arsenic and Old Lace, but we were MCs to this.
Right.
And Doug Hill said, you two have something more to offer. And he was right. And we got together, put our heads together, and we said, let's try radio.
Mm-hmm.
And you know why you really tried radio? Excuse me. Excuse me.
By the way, this goes on their show, too, by the way, just for
You
clarity.
gotta realize I gave him plenty of time, all right? He used it up. The bell rang. You know what? The clock went out. It's over, folks.
It's like listening to my aunt and uncle.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
right. There you go.
That's right.
There you go. And he said to me, I have this desire. I said, really? What kind of desire you got? I don't know. But
Let's talk.
It already sounded
Prices
good.
are on the back of my shirt.
Right, there you go. Desire. Oh, I said, oh, my God, streetcar. Anyway, I said, that sounds good to me. What? He said, I always wanted a radio show. And I said, you know what? I'll literally support you and be with you because I know this is something you really want to do. And I have other avenues I have traveled. I've been in dance classes and I've put together choreography and I've done the theater. There's a lot of stuff I've been out there and absolutely loved. And that was all through the university, by the way.
Yeah.
But this was something Doug really had in his mind, and I said, okay. And I started writing also, which was tongue-in-cheek, and some of them I've written and done on the air for the listening audience. Not a lot, though. But we started to put it together, and it became really a lot of fun because I'll tell you very frankly, guys, this took a lot more work than the ha-ha that I thought that we're just going to come in, we'll schmooze, we'll talk, yeah, this is great. But it started taking research, it started taking notes, it started putting a lot of time in, which has happened for us.
Well, here's the thing that I want to say about that, and you're 100% right. When I meet with people who want to host their own show, they just think it's coming into the studio, the mic turns on, and you're talking for an hour. But the problem is that great shows like yours build great stations.
Thank you.
Great stations don't necessarily make great shows. So how does a show become great? You prepare.
Oh,
Okay,
do we
and you get your
prepare?
content together. Now, there are some
seriously.
No, I know.
Seriously.
And I'm being upfront because you know what? We could come into your show if you called out sick and you said, "Hey guys, could you fill in for us on the show?" Between Cash and I and John, we could fluff enough on memories and talk about stuff, but not to the style that you guys deliver. And so there is prep time that goes into it. And I'm glad you said that because there are people that I talk with, they think they're just going to come into the studio, the mic goes on for an hour, and they're off and running. 6.5 years we've been doing a show. I start prepping for the next one as soon as the show ends.
Let me tell you something else, and I'm not stealing the time from Doug, but
Yes, you are, but that's okay. We got an hour.
Go ahead.
but I'm being honest with you, because what I have now come to the conclusion last few weeks is we have to have topics ready because I will never get on a show and not have something to talk about.
Right.
Whether or not we planned that show and something happened where it just
Sure.
didn't come off the way it was supposed to, you've got to have something. You can't
Right.
sit there and just fumfer through it.
Right.
It's not going to work for me because I'll walk out very aggravated.
Right.
Yeah,
you
we
have to have a roadmap.
Yeah, we have a backup plan for every
We have
show,
to.
and that's the critical point, because if something changes or whatever happens, we know
Things happen.
that
Right.
we're prepared and we're ready to go with something else.
And as much as your show relies on really personal experiences and the
Yeah.
stories that you share, you still need to be accurate in the from the historical perspective. If you start talking about the hotels in the Catskills, let's say, you want to be accurate in terms of the information that you share. So you're going to refresh your memory on some of those things to make sure that
Oh,
we get the
absolutely.
hotel names right or the stars that appeared at these hotels. So there is some prep time to get ready for that. And again, thank you for sharing that part about hosting a show, because people that I meet with think it's a piece of, it's only 1 hour a week. And okay. All right.
And
When-
if you're guesting on the show, it's different. All right, you come in for an hour, you're being interviewed,
Sure.
you talk. That's fine.
Right.
But when you actually have a format and you have material,
Right.
you know where you're going. If you don't, there's no point in going on the.
Right.
There really is no
Amen.
point to it.
Couldn't have said it better. Absolutely.
That's why I said it.
I know.
I know. Go ahead.
You
When I
said it
listen
like
to
I
your
wrote it.
shows, it really takes me back because I'm older than I look. I mean, it reminds
Really?
me. It reminds me of the old Fibber McGee and Molly.
That's right.
And the honeymooners
Whoa.
and that takes me.
Fibber who?
Fibber McGee and Molly.
I was with you at the honeymooners,
Yeah.
but you lost me with Fibber McGee. I'd never heard that
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the kind of show that you guys do, and it just takes me back there every time I listen. Like I said earlier,
Right.
reminds me of sitting around listening to my aunts and uncles.
How about
and-
George Burns?
Yeah.
Yeah, George and Gracie.
Yep.
You know, you get that same type of. I mean, we can do that. Not put on either. This
It's
is-
natural, and I think that,
No, and
and I
that's
think
it, and
that's the
you're
best
having
thing.
fun.
And I think that's the best thing that comes across in the show is that your chemistry also comes across very, very well on the show because you guys are genuine people. You're not putting out there something that is fake, that is unreal. You lived it, you've been there, you experienced it, and you're just simply sharing those experiences and your fondness for those things that you want to share with your audience. And I think that's tremendous.
We have, believe it or not, a lot of people who love to hear the television trivia, and they go back and they say, "Oh, I remember that." And the honeymooners, they lived in Brooklyn.
I'm one of them. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm one of them. All right.
and we have, Burns and Allen, and who was Harry Von Zell and stuff like that. And people say, "I remember this," and and they really look forward to hearing this.
What did we do today? We're sitting and we're bouncing information back and forth, and all of a sudden you go off. We did it with candy that you remembered from way back when, and then today it was like games. Oh, stoop ball. Oh, we played with a Pensy Pinky. All of a sudden you came up with a gyroscope, and who the hell remembered this stuff?
Right.
After a while, you're saying we played jacks. All of a sudden, all this stuff starts to come up, and you say,
Sure.
what, we got to include this in a show.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of stuff out
And
there.
then the time comes for your show and you can't remember squat about what you talked about.
Well, I go on, what I do, I tell you very, very,
Right.
Aaron, you know what I do? I go on the bus and I sit
Yeah,
and
sure.
I write my
You
notes.
take your note. Absolutely.
notes.
That's my
Absolutely.
best place is on the bus. I
No
sit
question.
there.
No question. You have when an idea comes to your head, you have to write it down. What I do, because I'm on Facebook, I mean, I'm constantly trolling Facebook. And when I see stories that I think are going to be good for our show,
Yes.
what I do is I reshare them through my Vegas and Rap fan page.
Right.
That's like my bookmark page.
Absolutely.
So that I have it handy during Vegas and Rap. So when that idea pops in, like you said, you've got to write it down somehow because it was such good shtick that you don't want to lose it and you want to
but
share it.
You have to realize I do a lot of that in the pool because
Right.
I like the pool at night when I go in there. But the problem is I can't write underwater.
No, that's tough.
I was just
You
gonna
know,
say.
That's tough.
I also can't see
can't see.
underwater.
It's a little blurry.
I'm trying very hard to, and then I come out, it's all washed
It's
away.
all washed
you know.
away.
Well,
You have
There
to
you
use
go.
a pencil.
Right.
Now you tell me.
No water-based pens.
You have a show. Actually, you have two shows. So how do you actually prepare yourself with these guys on these two shows?
Well, this show, I have to give props where props is due. For this show, I was actually out of town in May celebrating my twin daughter's graduations.
A mazel.
Thank you. So Ricky and JPEG, we called him JPEG John, came up with the idea to do this show while I was away just to get another show on the air. And it's become a very big success. So since I've gotten back here, we as owners have gotten to know our shows. We listen to the shows. We understand the content. We get to know our show hosts as well as we can personally. You don't see notes here.
Yeah.
Okay, and my introduction that I used at the beginning of the show was purely based, from my love for your show, going to your page, getting some of your verbiage, and then really it's just going to be asking you guys the kind of questions that we think the audience wants to know about you.
Oh, sure.
Now, for Vegas Unwrapped, that's a whole different story because our goal there is to let our audience know about things that make people say, I didn't know that about Las Vegas. So that's where a lot of my prep time comes in, and I'm doing I have my laptop out, I got notes all over the place, John's working the camera, Cash comes in with some pieces of paper, I think they're toilet paper because he doesn't ever come in with anything prepared, he's off the top of his head.
You writing notes in the...
No, not
Ricky,
me.
Ricky, not John.
Oh, no.
No, Ricky.
John. Oh,
No, not John. He comes in relatively prepared because he has a segment of his own, but that is a lot different. So when I say, when that show ends at 9:01 p.m., I'm already thinking about next week. So I'm already scheduling guests. I'm already watching the news. I'm watching Facebook. I'm getting those ideas. Where are we going to go? And it's two completely different. I can't do Vegas Unwrapped on this hour. It's not made for this show.
Yeah.
Nor can I. I mean, I could have you guys on Vegas Unwrapped, but I'm going to tell you, if you ever come onto that show, the interviewing process there is going to be very
Completely
different
different.
than what we're doing here.
I got to tell you, I love what you just did with the paper because I was thinking of Lionel Richie when he was writing the song.
Right.
And he
Lady.
was right?
Lady.
Yeah.
Lady. And where was he writing it?
In the toilet.
On the toilet paper.
You can't. You never. I always tell show hosts when I go through my seminars, and you guys sat in on a couple of them. You don't know where your next referral's coming from.
That's right.
And when it comes, you got to be ready for it. So if you're in the John and you don't have paper, at least most phones have a voice recorder thing that you can always do.
I'll date back to my father. That was his office. We were 6 girls with one bathroom in the Bronx, okay? He used to lock the door, and that was his office.
That was it.
And you could bang there all day long, but that hour was his.
Oh,
that was
man.
his office.
To take a stop right there. We're going to hit our first break. When we come back,
Yes.
we're going to get a little more in depth about some of the experiences and memories from where you're at. We want to hear about your background. We kind of heard about Doug's till you interrupted him, but that's okay. Now it's your time.
Really?
Now it's your time. You're listening to Stars of VANR here on Vegas All Net Radio. VANR on the all-new VegasAllNetRadio.com. Aaron Phillips. JPEG John Stiles. Mr. Cash is not feeling well. He's a little under the weather. He's home recuperating. Actually, I think it's because the Mets are on TV, and I think he came up with an excuse to go home early.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, listen, I could have used the same excuse. Yankees and Red Sox
Listen,
are
you
starting at
slimy
4
puke,
o'clock.
get back here.
So, but more importantly, sitting in the spotlight, in the hot seat, is the host. Seats, that's true.
Seats.
Lorraine and Doug from
Boy,
Thanks for
is
the
it hot
Memories.
in here. Oh, my God. Oh, God.
Saturdays, 1 to 2 p.m. right here on this very network, Vegas All Net Radio. Shows that memories that take you back, topics that take you back to a time that, quite frankly, makes you say, oh, crap, I forgot. I didn't realize how much I've forgotten. And it's a terrific show to listen to every Saturday. And if you can't listen in front of a computer, make sure you download the downloadable phone app. Take Doug and Lorraine with you in your car, with a picnic, your food shopping, wherever you're going. Download it on your app, and you can stay in touch with the show 1 to 2. So
Also, buy yourself a phone or a computer.
no, that would help too. There's the funny thing. If they don't have either of those, they're not hearing us right now anyway.
That's right. You know, they're sitting in somebody's house and saying,
exactly.
who cares? I don't care.
That's
what
right.
you're
It's
doing.
in someone's storage bin somewhere. All right, so we learned a little bit about Doug, Lorraine. So let's share the little bit about you, your background here with the audience.
Oh, I have a great background. I'm from the Bronx.
The Bronx.
The Bronx.
The Bronx.
And
I never would have guessed.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
Really? You wouldn't have known. I
It's
tell
where the
you.
Yankees play.
That's right.
And we were considered a big family. We had an apartment. It was, believe it or not, I even remember the address, 1048 Finlay Avenue. I still remember this. And it was a very interesting growing up experience. It was a very mixed neighborhood. We had, believe it or not, a library where
No.
we had to go get information.
Get books?
And books.
You had an encyclopedia set too?
Ooh.
As a matter of fact, somewhere along the line, we had one. We weren't allowed to use it. I think we used it as a bed prop, as we talked about. But no, we did get an encyclopedia, believe it or not. And we had, I was the youngest of the 5 girls until the baby came along.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an experience of learning how to operate in a city that is very difficult if you're not born into it, to really learn how to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The traveling, the people, and the camaraderie that comes out of it.
Sure.
Because I can remember very vividly in my mind coming home from school and watching my mother hang out the window on a Friday, cleaning the windows and looking up and going, "Oh God,
please don't fall!" Right?
No, please don't let anybody know that's my mother hanging out the window. I'm going to slip in under the door so nobody should identify the fact that that's my mother, because she used to sit up there in her nightgown. It was a horrible sight.
That's the Bronx.
I remember her.
Did you see? You saw her too. Or she would go to the back window. She would wash sheets. I mean, this is where we were at as growing up. So it tells you. She would wash the sheets. Remember, we were a big family.
Mm-hmm.
And she would open the back window. And we had a line that went out. And she would be hanging with the clothespins and sending it out there. And a man would come up along the way and he'd be yelling, "I cash clothes!" And I'd say, What is all this? You know, it was such a different background.
Sure was.
That it was amazing. But we had a lot of fun, but I had a lot of sisters to follow in school. And you walked in and they'd say, "You like that sister?" Because she never got along. And then you go, "Oh, my God, I got that teacher, that teacher." Oh, my God, you know, it was like... But we managed to survive.
So how long have you been out here in Vegas?
Oh, forever and ever and ever and ever. Came here a long time ago. But we did move to Queens because I was not crazy about the Bronx, and I talked my father into... He found his first house, in Flushing, which was, quote, Fresh Meadows.
Right.
Unfortunately, he lived 2 months in the house and he died.
Oh, geez.
Which left us in a hell of a quandary.
Sure.
But we held on to it. But that was a very beautiful part of... Just sorry he never got to appreciate the one thing in life he would have
enjoyed.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, there were so many stories that I can go back to with him in particular in my mind. But growing up again, learning to use the subways when you're very young, learning to use buses, doing things that most kids, well, certainly not out here did.
No.
You know, you bring up a good point. A few years ago, there was a big to-do about some woman who let her kid ride the subways. He was like 8 years old. You remember that? And I thought to myself at the time, for Christ's sakes, by the time I was 8 years old, I could get anywhere, you know? So what's the big deal?
That was me.
My
father took me on the subway and he said, "You think you know the line now?" And I says, "Oh yeah, no problem, Pop." He got off the next station.
And he said, "Hope to see you home."
Said, "I hope to see you home. I'll call your mother. You're on the way."
Jeez Louise.
And I had to ask one conductor about one thing, and he told me, but I was lucky and fortunate to make it. But you talk about being scared.
Well, excuse me, that's because when you called home, nobody answered.
They had moved, right.
All I remember is when my mother said,
"Hurry up, he's coming.
He said, my mother said, "Are you okay? That's good.
Right.
But your father, bring him home now."
He probably got the worst people because he left you.
He got it.
But you're right. I mean, today's culture, I mean, they would, God forbid, they need a bus. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know how to read a bus schedule. You know,
learn to be independent.
Right.
That was my father's goal, not my mother, because my mother was a housefrau from Europe. Okay, she was not our example.
Right.
We each and every one of us learned to be independent, and that's what he wanted. We had to know how to take care of ourselves. We had to know how to take care of each other. That was his prime goal.
Right.
And you know what? He accomplished it.
Absolutely.
I don't see that today in the kids.
No.
I got to tell you, I don't.
No, the culture has changed in a lot of ways. Yeah. In a lot of ways. I mean, most of it, I think, is because of the fact you have a two-parent working household in most cases.
That's right.
Leaving the kids, tend to themselves or safe key, and it's different. When I was growing up, I mean, I remember my dad had his business, but my mom was home.
That's right.
And I, crawling up on her lap as a kid and spending the time with the family. It's a very different culture and society now than it was, when I was, 40 years ago for me.
And we didn't have a car.
Right.
You lived in the Bronx. We didn't have a car. My father was the worst driver when he tried to get one. He couldn't even bribe anybody to get a license. And I think I told this story online.
Wait. People in New York have licenses?
Not usually.
Yes, right. The background check is very
They
serious.
don't even have a license to get married, so why bother with that? I mean,
That's
come on.
right.
Well, you got to remember, when you lived in New York, you had a license because you had to know how to double park.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't know how to double park,
That was part of the
you
test,
failed
right?
the test. That was the bottom
That's
line.
how you learn how to hit the curb.
That's
God, you know what? And if somebody you hit them on the way, that's their problem, not yours.
Jeez.
And parallel parking,
Forget
come on,
about it.
Forget it.
Jeez, that's
Well,
funny.
I have to tell you, I did tell this one, and Doug remembers this too. My father finally decided he had to have a license. He had to have one. And we were driving up to the Catskills, which was not a regular thing for us. But he bought this car. He was the lousiest driver I think I've ever seen. He couldn't drive for anything. And we all pile in the car, and he's driving up there, and my mother is sitting there, and she was a very complacent person, demure, Real Housewife type person. She's sitting next to him, and she says, Sam, look, you see over there on that lane, nobody's using it. Why don't you get in that lane and drive? So my father says, you think so? She says, yeah, go. So he goes up on the side. It happened to be the shoulder, which I now know, but he's the only one that got through. And the cop is now behind us, pulling him over. And she says, "What's the matter?" And then my father says, "I don't know." So the cop comes over and says, "Follow me." We went right up to the Judge, which was a haberdashery store in the Catskills.
What town?
And my father.
What town?
Right in the Catskills.
What town was this?
what town?
I can't remember.
Liberty, Monticello.
No, Monticello.
Oh. Monticello Raceway. Used to go there when I was up there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
They come.
Yeah.
There they go.
I lived across from Aqueduct when I lived
Did
in
you really?
Howard Beach. Yes, I did.
Wow. So what did the judge say? Go back to the...
The judge said, "What would you like to buy?" After $200, you know what?
Yeah, worth the hats.
Hey, we went home. I mean, but he was the worst driver. But when he got out of the ticket, it cost a lot of money.
What was your, I got to ask this totally out. What was your mom's name?
Her real name was Hannah Rochelle, and she changed it. Someone said to her, "That is a European name," and she changed it to Rose.
Really?
With a name like Hannah Rochelle.
Well, that's right up the tribe's alley. Are you kidding? But you said Sam was your father's name. My grandfather, my mom's mom and dad was Pearl and Sam. My grandfather was the retired police officer. I think I shared with you guys previously. Yeah. I could see my grandfather doing that same shoulder story. I could see him doing it because then what he would do, he'd pull his badge out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Of course.
To the cop.
Sure.
Sorry. Sorry. All right, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, more stories, more experiences, and find out what it's meant to them to be here on Vegas All Net Radio, sharing their
from
story.
Vegas Unwrapped, and I'm here with my partner,
Aaron Phillips. Hey, I got a quick question for you.
Go for it.
What's this about a Ricky Cash fan club I'm hearing about?
A friend of mine, who I know for 50 years, thought a Ricky Cash fan club would be great because he loves the character Ricky Cash, but he also knows we're trying to give stuff back to the community.
Like money?
Well, we haven't done that. All we've given is our time and effort, but now we need to give some money back to the community.
And this is a great idea to join the membership. There's 3 different levels, and you get all kinds of goodies like what?
Oh, you get T-shirts and pens and my picture and all sorts of stuff that I can't believe people will pay for.
And where can people learn more information?
At VegasUnwrapped.net, there's a Ricky Cash fan club tab. Go to it, join today.
So we can make a difference in the community with your help.
No question about it. Thank you so much. This is important to us.
The Ricky Cash Fan Club.
Ricky Cash has a fan club?
Yes, I know. Find out more at VegasUnwrapped.net.
Welcome back to Stars of VANR. I just relived my childhood.
That's how
About 25 years of my childhood, I just relived here during the break talking about the Catskills.
You never came out of it.
I haven't been up there. Obviously, I've been out here almost 20 years, but I mean, it's probably close to 35 years. My wife and I took a drive up there one summer and just, I mean, Loch Sheldrick was this literally one traffic light town.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
The old synagogue was right there. You had
That's
the
right.
convenience store. You had, it
What
was a town.
synagogue? It was a shul.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I've been
come
Vegas-ized. Right, it's a shul.
Oh, my God.
Talk, it's a shul. One movie theater that today I still laugh about. My grandfather and I, we went in. I know this was 1979 because I had a cast on my foot. I broke my foot on a field trip for school. So I went up there for my normal 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. So my grandfather took me to the movies in Loch Sheldrick. Typical movie, one theater, not like these multiplexes you have here, right? And
Well, it's cheaper here because you go from one to the
that's
other.
right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, you movie hop. So my grandfather and I are sitting there. We're waiting for the movie to start, and God is my witness, we're the only two people sitting in there, right?
That's right.
So we're sitting in there about 2 minutes before showtime, and this elderly gentleman, God bless him, walks in, and as he's walking past us, he stops about a foot down the aisle from us, and he's looking. Like, what is he looking for? There's every seat in the house open. There's no one he's looking for. So my grandfather and I today, my grandfather passed years ago, but to the day he passed, we always laughed about how this guy was looking for a seat in an empty house when it was just my grandfather and I in about a 100-seat auditorium. I mean, it's just one of those memories that we
But
took.
you know
from
what
that.
the problem was? You were sitting in his seat.
That's right.
That was his
The
seat.
high holidays, right? I threw him off. That's a good point.
right.
That's a good point. Oh, that's funny. So you mentioned you went up to the Catskills. Where did you go up there when you
We didn't go
up?
a lot. We didn't go a lot. My father was in construction, so we stayed basically in East Rockaway, and
Okay.
then for 1 week we went up to the Catskills,
Gotcha.
or the Catskill Game Farm, where I went with my sisters.
Gotcha.
But we didn't go to the Catskills a lot.
Okay.
We were Rockaway people.
Gotcha. Doug, how about you?
Rockaway.
Where did you go on vacations growing up?
Growing up, vacations were taken mostly from the great bridge called George Washington.
You jumped off? Oh my God!
No, actually, at
That
times
explains a
I wanted
lot.
to.
Right.
Well, I know he doesn't swim. That's why I said.
But I left Washington Heights, and we go over to Jersey and visit relatives, and spent the.
Who
you
goes
know,
to Jersey on vacation?
I know, but it was either Jersey or Florida. So
Yeah.
And in some cases, Florida was like Jersey and New York anyway.
Yeah.
that's
totally.
right, and
you went to
how
the
many
Bronx
times
Zoo?
can you go down to Florida?
That's right.
But it was that was my vacation. It was just New Jersey.
You mentioned Jersey as Jersey. It's the only state that you can drop the word new in front of, and people will know where you're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah, you
The only
can't
one.
say Dakota.
No, you can't. You can't say Mexico. Well, you can, but it'll confuse the crap out of people.
Carolina.
Right?
You got to
know,
say
sure.
Jersey.
Well,
You
you,
gotta
York.
say
you
Jersey.
can't say Bronx, honey.
No, well, you could say Bronx.
No,
People know where
you
you're
can't.
from.
It's the Bronx. They did
The
a whole
Bronx.
piece on CNN on this. It's the Bronx.
Bronx,
I'm
yeah.
telling you. If you don't put the in front of it, you're ostracized.
Oh, well, it's a good thing. My wife was born and raised in the Bronx before
Where?
she moved to Palace. Oh, I don't know. She was very little at the time. She doesn't
matter.
remember.
The Bronx is the Bronx.
Then she moved to then they moved to Palisades
Oh,
before moving down to Island,
Palisades.
New
Let me
Jersey.
tell you, I lived in Howard Beach. I started to tell you for
Right.
quite a number of years. They had just built a development there. It was a co-op development. It was right across from the Aqueduct Racetrack. We were on the Belt Parkway. We were on Cross Bay Boulevard. It was a beautiful development, but you couldn't get in or out of it. No matter what you did, because it was always blocked back from the racetrack.
Right.
But it was very interesting. It's a beautiful part of it.
Right.
I don't know what it is today. I haven't been back.
Yeah. How long has it been since you've been back? Do you go back frequently at all?
Oh
No,
yeah,
he
I'm
does.
going back
You
in
do?
2 weeks, and
he'll
looking
never leave
forward.
New York.
I love it. I mean, I don't go back every year. Once every couple of years, I have my children.
Right.
One lives in Jersey, and the other one lives in Connecticut. So, and I got a couple of my buddies in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and I go visit them. And I love it, but I have to go back because it's in my blood. I miss
Sure.
it.
It's not in your blood. It's an infusion for you because otherwise your blood thins out, and then you can't operate when you go back this year.
Well, here's the difference when you leave Las Vegas and go back east and you open that door and feel that humidity.
Oh, amen, brother.
Woo!
Amen. I remember the first time I went back after moving out here, went back for something, and we walked out of we stayed in a hotel in Clark, New Jersey at the time, and the humidity, it was June, I took a shower in the room. Everything, my room is ice cold. It's just the way I like it. I opened up the hotel room from the room into the hallway, into the hallway of the hotel. I wanted to crawl right back into the room.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm going back east or going to Florida for the week before,
right,
I always walk around with a wet washcloth over my face just to get used to that humidity. So.
Well, my dad is back there now. He had the right answer. They went down to Bradley Beach for a couple of, for the weekend. So they went down the shore. So the question I have for you, now that you guys are on the air for, a couple of months now, and you've always wanted to do radio and people kind of push in this direction, has being on the radio been everything you hoped it would be?
Oh, yeah.
So far?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
It's been a ride. It's been a joyous ride.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I do too, but it's because I don't have to be.
I do too. You know why I look forward? Because it always rains on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and the winds come up, and we're bus people. It's such a joy coming here between 1 and 2 because I can count on it.
No,
this past week, I know you can.
Not the week before.
Okay.
We're the new senior kids on the block, and we're loving it. I don't know. I'm lost there. But we love it, and we're getting more experience each weekend. And, whether it works or it's not working, we're learning.
Right.
But the
and
fun
you're never
I've
too
had,
old to learn.
But the fun I've had, as I told you, I'm writing, and I've done a lot of writing since I've been bus hopping, actually. Started it. And I like writing anyway. But mine is tongue-in-cheek, but it's on reality. And I've used the show to a point like open mic a couple of times, as Mike knows. But I don't want to inundate the audience with reading. I can read in the library to the kids. I've done that. But it's given me the opportunity to incorporate into our shows some of the pieces I've written.
Sure. Gives you your platform for that.
Yeah, and it gives it a little bit of... an injection of
brings it to
humor.
life. Well, but it brings your writings to life for you.
It does, because I'm sharing it outside of the few friends that I was willing to share it with. Right now, I'm not willing yet, but
no. Instead, we'll just share with the rest of the world.
Yeah, now I do it on here, and
now people in Australia are listening to you.
But you said
think
something.
they want me to come there by kangaroo?
Yeah.
Oh God,
you would too.
Crikey.
You were on the Valley View show.
Right.
I loved that one, and you had said it perfectly about VANR. What is
wait.
about?
You saw us on the show?
He was the one.
Somebody saw us on the show? All right.
Two. We had two. Sorry.
I loved it. I thought it was great, but you explained it really good when you said, this is what it's about, the future, and this is what we're getting into. And I don't remember word for word, but you had said it so good, and it's true. That's the future. This is,
the internet as a functionality of our society really has only been around for 20, 25 years tops. Internet radio, as we are doing it, is maybe out there 10 years.
Oh, if that.
Maybe. Well, VANR has been around for 10 years through when it started down at Desert Inn and DI, but not Desert Inn, that's the same street that would be crashing into each other. Maryland and DI. But as a functionality, this media has only been around for a very, very, very short time. But the impact that it's making in that short time is tremendous. And we have the stats to back it up, how many listeners, what the age range is, even for that matter, advertiser dollars that has shifted off of mainstream media to the internet functionality. So, and I appreciate you, that those words, struck a chord with you.
They stuck to me, and you said it perfectly, and I'm not going nuts on it. You're going to pull my plug. But I enjoyed that show, and you really explained it well.
We packed in a lot in 4.5 minutes.
Oh, you did?
Let me tell you. And I learned I don't want to program TV.
No.
Because, they ushered us in during the commercial break. They mic'd the three of us up, and we literally sat down behind the table with 10 seconds countdown for them to come back. Then the interview starts with the girl, and she's got the teleprompters, and for us, we're looking at each other, but then the monitor's right there under the camera, so we're kind of seeing what they're posting at the same time. Boom, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you for coming. Don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. As we're walking out, they're stripping of us of the microphones. So versus what we do here. All right, if you're off track, you have a board op who works to keep you on track. But if you don't cover your material, who knows?
That's right.
And then you can always pick it back up on your next show.
That's right.
And it is so much easier to program and produce a radio show than it is TV. Now, that's not saying if someone rings my phone right now and wants us for TV, we can. Yeah, Rick, call me, will you please?
You want me to call you
No,
now?
I'm
Hey, you know
thanks.
what? Screw that. We'll create our own
We'll create our own TV.
Thanks.
You know, I think we have that on the agenda.
That's
don't we?
on the agenda.
Vegas All Net TV coming soon to a station near you. Anyway,
all over the world.
So being on VANR has been good, and we're glad that we've been able to provide the platform for you guys to experience something that you've wanted to do, because it's a double-edged sword. Like I said before, great shows make for a great station.
Yeah.
I can't get a great station to make great shows. Our jobs, and Ricky in absentia, is to make sure that our shows
That's your last name, Ricky in absentia.
No, that he's got a bad
That's
tooth.
his name?
Yeah.
He's got a bad tongue? Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's our job to have the shows become and continue to grow.
Yeah.
So, listening to the show every week, it's just tremendous how you guys have grown in a relatively short
fun.
period of time.
You know what's fun
And it's
last
a fun
week?
show because it takes you out of the normal crap that's going on around us every day of the week. You have 1 hour that at least per week that you can sink into memories that make you feel good.
Yeah, and that's our goal. We want everybody to be happy out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I just, well, maybe
Everybody
not
but Lorraine.
everybody.
Everybody but Lorraine can be happy.
Yeah. But that's our goal. We want.
I
you
am
know.
the happy.
I know you
camper.
are. I've never seen you not smile when you've been in this office and studio.
Hey, I smile out there. They all say hello to me, and he says, "How do you know them?" Who knows? They say hello.
The power of a smile.
But that's our goal. We want to really, make everybody laugh, have a good time, and take you back to memory lane. Go,
Absolutely, and that's what it's
enjoy.
about.
And that's
But
what the whole
memory
show's about.
lane was a beautiful thing last week. As I said, we
Mm-hmm.
were caught a little bit off guard.
Right.
Unfortunately, I lived here long enough to tell you and the audience
Right.
the things that I actually lived through, seeing the opening of Elvis Presley at the International, all these things that I have experienced because it was a treat at the time.
Sure.
Well, who knew? Barbara Streisand, when she didn't look like Barbara Streisand, opened her mouth and everybody went, "Oh my God."
Right.
But the town is such a wonderful place, and now being on the radio and being able to go back, and it's such a transition.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I want to let our sponsors know that we're going to bypass this last break because we've only got about 8 minutes left on the show anyway, and I'd like to transition into a little segment that I call the real questions.
Okay.
All right.
Dum.
Exactly. All right, here you go. You ready? Number one, and
Never
you can answer this independently, as I hope you do. Doug, I'll start with you. Who's your favorite actor of all time?
No doubt about it, Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. Lorraine?
I don't think I have a real, besides some of the Shakespearean acts. Believe it or not, I'm really into that.
Okay. So name one. Give me one.
I'm thinking of some of the shows that I have seen, actually, and offhand, I don't think I have a real favorite. I don't. They're
Sir
all
Lawrence.
to me wonderful. Yeah, Olivier is one, but I had so many. I'm very much into that.
Okay. Favorite actress of all time?
Oh, it's got to be Meryl Streep. I
Okay.
mean, she's unbelievable. She is.
You going to go out and see her new movie that she's got out now? Was it Ricky Flash?
Ricky Flash.
Ricky Flash.
Ricky
yeah.
Flash, right?
Ricky and the Flash. or
Ricky and the
something, yeah.
Flash.
That looks
Not
good.
Ricky in the Cash, but
No. That's all I need is to have a movie named after him. He'll never let us.
God help us
God
all.
help us all. Lorraine, how about you? Favorite actress?
I really don't.
Okay.
I've been in theater and whatnot, and you know what? Besides Helen Hayes and people like that, that's
Okay.
all I can tell you.
That's
is,
fine. How about your favorite movie that you must see every time it's available to see?
How about the Bronx and Tale?
Okay. That's all right. Doug?
The Ten Commandments.
The Ten Commandments.
I can still tell you every word for word. I loved Edward G. Robinson.
Wasn't he great?
I mean,
There's just nobody like
And you're
him.
right. Every time it comes out, I got to be there and just watch it.
What about A Wonderful Life?
That too. Well, that's number two.
Don't
That's
you
number
sit there
two.
and you do
Yeah,
the
I
lines?
And I still hope Clarence
it.
gets his wings.
And he flies around the room with him. Hey, wait for me. Wait for me. Go ahead.
What kind of music do you like to listen to? What's your favorite
God,
genre?
You know mine.
Oh, I know yours.
Doo-wop and acapella.
Right.
And I'm more into classical, and I love classical music.
Okay. Very cool. What was your favorite all-time car growing up that you wish you would own to drive today?
And don't say Edsel.
Yeah, really.
68 Camaro. The
Nice. Nice.
The only problem with the Camaro was it had a large steering wheel.
Right.
If they had made the steering wheel smaller, that was a great car
Right.
because they were right when they said the hugger. Because when you came off the Belt Parkway, you had to hug that Belt Parkway.
That's right. That's right. Lorraine, any particular car?
My very first automatic car.
Okay.
It was a 67 Chevy with the wings, and it was black and white.
Wow.
And it blew up 2 months after I got it.
Blown engine?
First one. Yep.
Blown engine, huh?
Yep.
Jeez
Yep.
Louise. Did you guys go to Coney Island much?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
No, you didn't go there? You didn't go often?
Oh, yeah. Coney Island, Nathan's. My uncle, my wife's uncle, worked there when there was Nathan's about 4 blocks long.
Right.
The steeplechase. My mother loved the steeplechase. She was a big amusement park goer.
Right.
And I could still name you every subway line that goes there today.
Did you ever go off the parachute jump?
No, never had the
My
chance.
mom did, and she got stuck up there.
No.
The parachute, God is my witness, the parachute opened, she got caught on the crossbar.
For some reason, I never got the chance. I've always wanted to
It's probably a
go.
good thing based on what happened to my mother. Jeez Louise. All
And
right.
that's the time when you had a beach that was
Yes.
clean.
Correct.
There was
Correct.
no glass, no
All right.
needles.
Oh, we
That's
had
right.
a better place than you did. We went to Tar Beach and we sat out on the fire. We had a fire escape and we threw out the blanket
There
on
you
the
go.
what with the come on.
That's right.
Again,
Come on.
folks, she's from the Bronx.
That's right. What's your favorite, and I'm going to circumvent this a little bit because we're running out of time. What's your favorite curse word? And I know from New York you got to have a few.
Schmuck.
Okay. Which at one time was not as bad as it was today. You know the origin of the word?
Yeah, I know.
I learned this in the Yiddish class.
Let's hear it.
What I was told, schmuck comes from schmuckler, which way back when actually means jeweler. Hence the connotation of your jewels.
Really?
But it really was not a bad word as it is connotated today.
Yeah.
So
okay.
just thought I'd share that with you.
Michigan.
Mashugana. That means crazy in
Crazy.
Yiddish.
Crazy.
All right. Since we have about 2 minutes left, last question. When the day comes, and may it be for many years down the line, you're standing at the pearly gates and God is there to greet you. What do you hope they say to you when you're walking in?
Well, I hope they say to me, Doug, we have your reservation in the doo-wop section of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And then they press a button and you go down.
You better hope she doesn't get there before you do, man.
She'll be on the button. Here he comes. Press your luck.
Oh, here comes the bus. Here comes the bus. Here comes the bus.
What's yours? What do you hope they say for you, Lorraine?
The
Seriously.
family's waiting for you. They got 2 toilets now.
Oh, my gosh. Ending on that note, thank you for listening in today.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. We want to thank Doug and Lorraine. Saturday afternoons, 1 to 2 p.m. Thanks for the memories. Guys, it is a blast of a show. Thank you for coming on today. It is so much fun.
Thank you.
Next week, I know who's on, only it just left my mind and I had to schedule in my office, so I can't tell you. I'll have to tune in. Thursday night, Vegas and Rap, 7 to 9 p.m. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, everybody, from Stars of VANR.
Haven't changed.